submit their answer for the question on the presentation window about whether you have a confirmation account already. That's really great for us to know. So I think we can already get started with today's training session for using confirmation.com for sending out your bank confirmations. So with you today, so my name is Dee, and I work with firms all around the region to help them streamline their audit confirmation process. And I do this with firms all over Southeast Asia and the rest of Asia. And with me today are my colleagues. So we have Natalie Lam on the call. She's turned on her camera. We have Xiao Liu. She's also just turning on her camera. So these are my counterparts who are doing the same thing as me in their respective regions. We also have on the call Alex Rover as well as Polylog. So Polly has turned on her camera as well. So Alex and Rover are part of our customer support team. You might have in fact talked to them before if you've written into us. So this is the team that's behind the training session today. And as you type, the questions that you have, this team will be answering your questions. So a bit of housekeeping as we get started. Firstly, please ensure that your volumes are turned up, that your speaker is firstly on and your volume is up in case you can't really hear me. And for accessing this webinar, the Google Chrome browser is recommended. And yes, I know that a lot of us are going to be asking this question, so this webinar will be recorded and it will be available to you afterwards. Now, what you see on the screen are probably 4 windows. So you probably see the media player where you can see my face. And then you probably see a presentation window where you see the welcome and housekeeping slide. And at the bottom of these 2 windows, you will see the resources window where you see a PDF that you can download as well as a Q&A window. So all of these windows can be resized and moved around to fit your screen, to see, to fit however you want to rearrange them. And importantly, when I'm sharing my screen later on, you will be able to enlarge that media window to be able to see the screen and to see the platform as I'm sharing. And if you have any questions during the session, just type it in the Q&A window or the Q&A widget. Don't worry, nobody will see your question. It is going directly to us. So don't be shy. Just type in any question that you have. We have a full team ready to answer your questions. And if you have any technical issues, similarly, just put in your question in the Q&A window and our team is there to help you. Lastly, if nothing works on the browser, simply refresh your window. You could either press F5 or Command R or Control R to refresh your window, and that should hopefully reset everything and everything should be working. All right, so what are we going to go through today? Obviously, it's a training session. So first we'll do a quick overview of confirmation and our process, and then I'll bring you through the platform. I'll show you how to use it, and we'll have a Q&A session. So firstly, we'll get started with the overview of confirmation, and I have a question for you. So what is your biggest pain point when sending audit confirmation? So I actually have a field for you to write in your pain point. So just type it in. Don't worry, again, nobody else can see this. Only the team over here can see what you type in. So put it in and I'll be able to see what you type. So I think the results are starting to come in. Okay, I'm getting quite a few results. You're very the audience today is very fast, very turned on, very switched on, sorry. So I'm getting a lot of results very quickly. All right, so I'm seeing that, oh yes, that it's troublesome, that you have to keep chasing, right, you're not able to get the responses. Perfect. thank you everyone who's been sending it in, and these are all very familiar, right? So yeah, again, another chaser, waiting a long time. I see quite a few responses of, you have to, regarding the length of time, from having to wait, from having to chase, from delays. All right, we have a lot of answers. So thank you to everyone who's put in their points. And I see that some of you have written in your pain points in the Q&A, so thank you for that as well. Perfect. So that is exactly what we hear when we talk with audit firms around the region, right? And that is what Confirmation is trying to alleviate. So, these pain points, we're trying to get rid of them, right? So the delays, the waiting time. So using confirmation.com, we are trying to save your time, right? So you don't have to chase the banks anymore, and there's no more waiting for the postal service, and you can then, or rather audit firms using confirmation.com have been able to reduce their confirmation process from weeks to just days. And in fact, we've seen some best case scenarios where it happens in a few hours. And besides that, confirmation.com also provides one centralized place or one centralized dashboard for you or for the auditors to manage all of their confirmations in one place. There's no more managing, there's one request through email, there's another one by fax, and another one in the post. Everything is in one central platform. And finally, it's a very secure environment, which firstly, obviously ensures that your client's data is kept safe throughout the entire process. And besides that, Confirmation also has a strict validation process. So auditors are validated before they can use the platform. Similarly, the responders, the banks, are also validated. So, this means that because we have validated the responders, you can rest assured, or rather the audit confirmation, you can actually put more weight on them because, they've been validated and it's, legitimate. Legitimate sources, and that then saves time for the auditor. For them, they don't need to do that check themselves because we have ensured this process already. So let's have a quick look into the overview of the process of how this works on Confirmation platform. So obviously I will show you in detail how this works, but just an overview. As you can see on the screen, it's a four-step process, and there are three overall parties involved. So obviously, there is the auditor, which is everyone on this call, and there's also the client, the audit client, or who is also the bank client, right? And there is the responder, which is the bank in this case. So the steps are pretty straightforward. So firstly, the auditor needs to get authorization from the client, because without this, no financial institution is going to release anything to you. And once you request this authorization, the client receives this digitally in their email. They click through and they can sign digitally as well, and they then return this back to the auditor. and the auditor receives it immediately because it's all virtual. There's no more needing to wait for the courier to send the authorization letters to you. This is sending the authorization is sent directly to the auditor. And once the auditor receives it, they can send it directly, they can send the confirmation request to the bank, who then, when they receive it, it gets into their queue, and the bank will then be able to process the confirmation request. If they need to clarify anything, they can do it with the auditor directly on the platform. And once it's done, they can then send the completed confirmation directly to the auditor. So this is that four-step process, which is in a closed and secure system, and that is basically the overview of how the confirmation process works on our platform. And because of all the efficiencies that are available on confirmation.com, it is used all over the world. It's used across over 16,000 firms, which includes all the big fours, the big tens, all the bigs. They use us globally. And in fact, the responders, there are more than 4,000 banks around the world responding to audit confirmations on our platform. So as an auditor, you can select any one of those banks wherever your clients have accounts there. You can select them not just within the region, but also in those overseas banks if your clients have those accounts. So speaking of banks, let's have a look at the various banks in the region. So this is just a highlight of the banks available in APAC. It's non-exhaustive. You might find some of these banks familiar. Some of your clients might have accounts here. I will be showing you how to get the full list later on during our demo. But this is just a quick highlight to show you there are some banks, as you can see here, with the asterisks next to their name. So some of these banks are actually mandated, which means that they no longer accept paper confirmations or email confirmations, all the traditional means. They only accept confirmation requests through confirmation.com. Basically all the names with the asterisks are the mandated banks. In fact, this year, or in the last couple of years, we've had a lot more banks come on board, unsurprisingly, because of the pandemic situation with everyone working from home. So more banks want to move their processing online, right? Because if they are receiving these requests by paper and with the movement restrictions all over the region, all over the world, it was getting hard for them to pick these up and process them. So a lot of banks have joined us in the last year, and